Hey everyone, what I would like to do today is talk about this OWC Thunderbolt 3 10 gigabit Ethernet adapter. I purchased this adapter around a year or so ago because I wanted to connect my main PC to my Synology NAS, which I used to have in this office. And I used it as my main Ethernet connection for my main PC for a long time. I've since used it with my laptop, I've used it with my iPad Pro as well. And I can say firsthand, right off the bat, this is a great product. It lives up to expectations and it is a product that I can recommend. But I need to put an asterisk there, and the asterisk is that you have to remember that this is a niche product. Most people don't need this. And I suspect some people who are looking at this and think they want to buy this, they'd maybe be able to make do with a 2.5 gigabit adapter, for example. It's maybe overkill for some people. We'll take a look at specs and I'll talk about speeds, etc. But I want to first show you the adapter itself. So this is the cable that comes with it. This is the one that comes in the box. You can see the 4 there. And at the other side, bring it up here actually, you maybe see it better. It says OWC 100 watt 40 gigabits per second. So this is quite a short cable, but you can of course use any Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, USB 4 cable with it. It will work. And if I show you the device itself, you'll see that it is a relatively straightforward product. It kind of looks like a USB hub. And from a size perspective, it's kind of small and chubby, like that. I'll show you the exact dimensions later when we look at the official website, but that gives you an idea of size. So on the one side, we have a Kensington lock, and then we have the Thunderbolt connection there. You can see there's a little LED light there as well. And on the other side, we have the Ethernet connection, and it's just a standard Ethernet connection like that. So what you can see here is that this has a 10G, 5G, 2.5G, 1G, 100 megabit base T connection. Now, it's important to note that this product does offer that. There's a lot of adapters out there. Certainly the earlier ones have this, where it's a 10 gigabit and a 1 gigabit connection, but bizarrely it does not support 5 gigabit or 2.5 gigabit connections at the other side. So that can be a problem in some situations, but you don't have that here. This is quite versatile and it does support all Ethernet connections that you will be using. So the product itself, it's just a big aluminium shell here. And the reason it's built like that is so that it can dissipate heat, because this doesn't have a fan. It's USB bus powered and it dissipates heat through the shell like that. Now there is a rubber grip around here, and the reason being just so it's a little bit nicer when it sits on your desk, you're not scraping anything. But that is how it works, and it's quite a simple, in fact, this is actually the Ethernet connection for my PC. And if I plug it in here, the iPad Pro, you'll see how it works. It's in like that, and then you can see the light comes on like that. And that's the iPad now using this connection like that. Quite straightforward. And that's basically what this adapter does. USB goes into your computer, your PC, your iPad, and the other side is the Ethernet connection, and it will give you that glorious 10G connection, or up to 10G. You're obviously limited by what you connect to this device. Forget this out, get this out, there we go. So let's have a quick look at the box. This is the box here, and it's just talking about the specifications, etc. Gives you an idea of what is on offer here. It does say here Mac, PC, on the website it does say Linux as well, I believe. We've got the dimensions there, we've got the weight, 453 grams. And we also have some information on the back as well, like that. So it tells you everything that you need to know on the box. But let's jump over to the website. It gives you a little bit of a nicer way, gives you a nicer way of looking at all the information. So a few things to note here. One is the price, only $199.99. They're using the word only there. These adapters do tend to be that price. Sometimes they're up to $300 or more. It's about £200 in the UK, $200 around the world. And just some things to note here. It says that you can get blazing fast speeds up to 900 megabytes per second. And it's got Wake on LAN ready. You turn up your computer on, turn your laptop on, this will turn on as well. It's got some other, obviously graphs, etc., to give you an idea of how much you can reduce file transfers, etc. But if we go down to the bottom here, we can see the specs. So these are the specs here. And a few things to note here. It says here that for Linux, you do need an Ethernet driver, but it is compatible. It doesn't even talk about iPads, for example, but it does work with my iPad Pro. It's bus powered, draws 8.2 watts. And yeah, there's a few other useful bits of information there as well. So I'll leave a link to this page so that you can check it out. You can read all about that boring information yourself. But let's talk about speeds. So the main reason I bought this was to connect my desktop PC to my Synology NAS. And I had a 10 gigabit Ethernet card, I still do, for my Synology NAS, and it was connected directly to my PC. Now, I did a lot of reading and writing tests when I first purchased this, because this was my only way to get a 10 gigabit connection from my PC, because my PC has 2.5 gigabit Ethernet on the motherboard, and I didn't have any PCI Express slots left, but I did have a Thunderbolt connection. So I consistently got between 750 and 800 megabytes per second file transfer speeds. That was when I was transferring files from my Synology NAS to my PC. So say, for example, I recorded a YouTube video, I put it onto my NAS for storage. If I then needed that clip to say use in another video, I could copy it over to my PC. And when I did so, I was transferring that file at 750 megabytes per second. So very, very fast. I was very, very happy with that. I mean, it does say that it's up to 900 megabytes per second transfer speed, but obviously it depends on your situation. That is the main way that I've tested this as far as local transfers, local file transfers. It is worth noting that when I transferred things to my NAS the other way from my PC, I got much slower speeds. I was getting like 400, 500, etc. But that's more about limitation of my Synology NAS. So from that perspective, as far as why I bought this, as far as having faster file transfers between my PC, my laptop, and my Synology NAS, I was incredibly happy. And that is the main reason to buy a product such as this. It's for those of us who are looking to access files much quicker, through a network. That's what it's for. And that's why I was happy with the purchase, because it did exactly that. Now, a lot of people say that if you're using this for a long period of time, the transfer speeds will drop. Now, that is common, in a lot of situations with hard drives and different things. But the reason they're talking about that here is because this does get hot after a while. If you're transferring a lot of files, this does start to get hot. And the reason this gets hot is because the heat is being dissipated here. Now, what I will say on that is that my experience has been that the transfer speeds have not slowed down. Not for me anyway. But that's maybe because I've not put it under the right amount of pressure for the speeds to drop. If I've got a 20 or 40 gigabyte file on my NAS and I want to copy it to my computer, it doesn't take long for that to transfer here. And I'm not transferring another 10, 40 gigabyte files. I'm transferring one or two files. It's on my PC, and then this cools down. So I'd never really put this in a position where it was hours at a time transferring huge amounts of data. Maybe in a situation like that, transfer speeds would reduce. I've not really got any way to reproduce that. It's not something I would really use that for. Maybe you're better going for a more professional connection if that's something you're going to do. Get an Ethernet card, 10 gigabit Ethernet card. But from my experience, I did not experience any slowdown of transfer speeds over time. It's just not something that I experienced. If you're using the OWC Ethernet adapter, you're going to see greatly improved write speeds and read speeds when you're transferring files around your home network. That is the main reason to buy an adapter such as this. But obviously, when you're connecting an Ethernet connection here and you're connecting to your home network, you're probably getting an internet connection as well. So if you're normally connecting via Wi-Fi and you switch to this, you should see an improved internet download speed, upload speed, and latency as well. So I wanted to demonstrate that because it is, a benefit of using an Ethernet connection over a Wi-Fi connection. So I disabled the VPN on my PC and on my iPad Pro, and I did some speed tests using speedtest.net and Cloudflare's speed test. And all of the values I'm going to quote here are in megabits per second. So the first test I did was with my main PC, which has a Wi-Fi 6 card. And with a Wi-Fi connection, speed test showed 893 download, 813 upload. And with the Ethernet adapter, it was 925 download and 937 upload. So the download and upload speeds were better, but the biggest thing that I noticed there was that speed test shows idle latency, download latency, and upload latency, and all of those values improved a little bit as well. I did the same test with Cloudflare and I got slightly different results. With the Wi-Fi connection, I got 795 download and 615 upload. Using the Ethernet adapter, the download speed increased to 842, but the upload speed was almost half. It was down at 304. Now, the latency did improve when I was using this Ethernet adapter. That's to be expected, and it's what I saw every single test, that latency improved when using Ethernet instead of Wi-Fi. It's to be expected. But I was quite surprised that the upload speed was slow with my PC with Cloudflare. Now, there's always variations with these speed tests, and there's variations between different websites, different devices, different times of the day. But I did perform that test a number of times, and every time using this with Cloudflare, the upload speed was low. And another test, for example, I saw 810 download and 528 upload when using Wi-Fi. And then when I switched to Ethernet, it was 802 download and 221 upload. So again, the upload speed was very low. Not sure why that was occurring, but that's what I saw. I then performed the same test with my iPad Pro. And with speed test with a Wi-Fi 6E connection, I got 934 download and 460 upload. And then when I switched to the Ethernet adapter, I got 937 download, so almost the same, but a whopping 918 upload. Now, the upload speed there was so much better. It was like double. But the big thing that I noticed there was latency had really, really improved with using the Ethernet connection. The last test I did with my iPad Pro was with Cloudflare. Wi-Fi 6E was 763 download, 180 upload, but with the Ethernet connection, it was 721 download and 232 upload. So in that instance, with the iPad Pro with Cloudflare, the download speed went down, the upload speed went up. The speeds were around the same, but again, latency was improved. So again, you're not going to buy this, generally speaking, to improve your latency, but there are scenarios where maybe that's why you would want to buy this. For example, if you're gaming on a Windows laptop, you don't have an Ethernet connection, you want an Ethernet adapter, then using this, if you're gaming, your laptop, your iPad Pro, you should see improved latency, you should see better response times when you're gaming. When you're transferring files, latency doesn't matter, but when you're gaming and doing things like that, that is important. And that's what I saw across the board. But it's quite good that this works with Windows, with Mac, and with Linux, and with iPad Pro as well. But from a speed perspective, both transferring files locally and connecting to the internet, I've always been quite impressed with the OWC Ethernet adapter. I hope you've all enjoyed this look at the OWC Thunderbolt 3 10G or 10 gigabit Ethernet adapter. I've been very impressed with this device. It's versatile. It doesn't work with my iPhone 15 Pro Max. I did try it, it did not work. But it does work with my iPad Pro. It does work with my Windows computers. It's compatible with Mac and Linux. And although I've not tested it, I suspect it is compatible with many other Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt 4 compatible computers. So it's quite a versatile device as far as what devices it works with. And if you are someone who has a Thunderbolt connection, but you don't have a 10 gigabit Ethernet connection, then this is maybe the adapter for you. But it does depend on your situation. For most people, we don't have a 10 gigabit internet connection just now. So if you're buying it for your internet connection, to improve your internet connection, then you should really buy an adapter that matches your download speed and your upload speed. So if you've got a 1 gigabit internet connection, just buy a regular Ethernet adapter. And for other people that want to connect to, a NAS or another computer in the home network, then if that NAS or that computer has a 2.5 gigabit or a 5 gigabit connection, then it probably makes more sense to buy an adapter that has a 2.5 or 5 gigabit per second connection. Yes, this does support a 2.5 and 5 gigabit per second connection, but if you have that bottleneck down the network on the other computer, then you'll save money and you'll get a smaller device if you buy an Ethernet adapter that's only 2.5G or only 5G. At this time, 10 gigabit adapters still tend to be bulkier. They still tend to be more expensive. So if you don't need a 10 gigabit connection, don't buy it. Don't waste money on something you're not going to use. But if you are in a situation like I was, where you wanted to connect to your NAS, another computer in your network, and you want the fastest transfer speeds that you could get, then this is a great adapter to buy, and it is one that I can recommend. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and until next time, take care.